your passion, as we say, right? Excellent. How's that? Good?
Yes. Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Individual business.
Tell me more. Yeah.
Being independent on doing your own business.
Okay.
Riding the mountain by yourself and to reach the success.
Okay, so the idea about being individual and a sense of success. There's two ideas there, I think. Yeah. The individual one not having to answer to another boss.
Take more responsibility, to take things risky or
challenging.
Absolutely. So to take on greater risks than the safe desk job. Great.
Decisions generate more money.
Generate more money. That's a big one. Yes.
That's one of the most important.
Why are we here, right? Super.
the control of business and spend more time on something.
Excellent. Yes. There's interesting words again. Responsibility, control, and love, interest. Great.
To be your own boss.
To be your own boss. Yes.
Empowerment.
Yeah, I had one of those final straw situations. That's it. I can't work for someone else anymore. I got it. Yeah, I've had that. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah,
Moments.
exactly.
Great. Future security. Great one. Did you want to elaborate more on? No? Okay. But anyone want to elaborate on future security?
Well, maybe because you never know how in companies it's not always you're not always lucky to stay in a company and do whatever you're doing in a company.
That's right.
Sometimes you get kicked out from a company, so you secure yourself by doing a business and growing this business.
Excellent. You can't be fired. Yeah. And also legacy for the family, right?
Oh,
And then the
that's
idea. So there are two ideas going there. Any more? Maybe one more is killing someone. They're going to share it.
Probably the improvement of imagination and the way of thinking, thinking out of the box.
Yes. So maybe it ties the whole self-actualization idea, the fact that you're thinking and exploring. It's interesting because some people, you talk to some entrepreneurs who are like 70, 80, and they say, I'll never retire, right? And I think that ties into the interest, the passion, or because the brain is always going for those reasons. Super. With the yin comes the yang, right? There's got to be some reasons why we're all not entrepreneurs right now. Anyone like to share one of the drawbacks or the downside?
Capital? No capital.
So you don't have the money. That could be an obstacle.
Most probably.
Great.
Very high risk. Taking very high risk.
Yes, there's the risk aspect, sure. There's one of the slides in the, I sent you as an introduction to entrepreneurship. It talks about after 10 years, only 20% of the businesses that started are still going on.
A lot of competition.
Fear of failure. Okay, yes. So that's a big obstacle as well. Not just the failing, but the fear of failing.
Less privileges, because when you're working in a company, probably you have the privilege of health insurance, time tickets, vacations, something like that.
Yes, that's right. That security blanket, right? All those benefits.
Competition.
What about competition?
There's a lot of competitors now, where we've reached today. There's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of beauty and cosmetics, there's a lot of...
It's all been done, right?
It's all been done.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Not having enough money to start business.
Okay. Okay, so that's definitely an obstacle to getting started.
Unexpected external factors.
Okay.
You don't know what's going. Might be
Government regulations, changing government.
Sure, yeah, a lot of external things that you can't,
External things,
in
right.
fact, control, why we do our SWOT analysis.
And there's a lot of big players in the market.
Oh my God, I'm getting depressed now.
You know that.
I'm staying, I don't want to leave, and let's keep my safe, secure, non-risk-taking job. Yeah,
So
and this is true. And I think for entrepreneurs, or people that are considering being entrepreneurs, you've got to look at the positives. Are they positive enough for you? And then saying, how am I going to handle those risks or those negatives? Because all of the things that you said are things that I've come back to myself. My mother, I remember her name, my mother, she grew up very poor. She grew up in a very poor family. And she is so risk averse. She's so risk averse. When I was a boy, I'm a woman now, but when I was a boy, thank you, my favorite jokes. When I was a boy, actually when I was a teenager, I was a waiter. If you know anything about being a waiter in Canada, you get tips, right? I worked at a very expensive restaurant. And every morning she'd come into my room, do you have any money for me to put in the bank? Where your tips and all that? So I'd leave the money, sitting out. She worked in the bank. I'll put it in for you. It was always just get. So anyway, when I was working in the real estate company, she didn't like that because the real estate company was very entrepreneurial. And as we say in Canada, you eat what you kill. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yeah.
You eat what you kill. That kind of sums up real estate. That sums up being an entrepreneur. The great thing about having your own business, you eat what you kill. You land the sale, you make the money. You don't, you starve, right? And I remember her one day blurting out to me, "You need a pension!" That's what you need a pension. That whole idea of security was just killing her. So when I told her I was going to go back to Canada, the economy's bad. Oh, why would you want to do that? Oh, because she always comes and visits in like October, November. The weather's nice. You go for brunch and that whole sort of thing. She only sees that side of thing, and I've had enough. So every 6 months, I get the phone call. Are you sure you're coming back? Are you sure you want to do this? Mom, relax. So, yeah, entrepreneurship. There's the downside plus the plus side. Well, a spark of life, if we could say. If you want to start your own business, you have a great idea, is usually where it starts. Begs the question, of course, where do great ideas come from? How is it that people just stumble upon them? What do you think? Where do great ideas come from?
Experience.
Experiences, great. There's a famous saying, experiment with other people's money.
Right.
Right? So if you want to have a hotel, don't just start a hotel. Go work for a hotel and learn all about it. Yeah. So and then you'll see, what's good and what's bad. Other things where great ideas can come from.
Abundant design.
Okay. Tell me more.
Abundant desire. You have abundant desire about something, and you want to start a business.
Okay, that internal motivation.
Like that, you know what you know.
Super. Another hand?
Experts.
Okay, if you're some sort of an expert in that area. Great. All good points. Yeah. Here we go. Most textbooks in the world, so who am I to disagree? And also, from my own experience, I would say this is very true, that most successful businesses, or most great ideas, come from this idea here. So if you learned nothing else today, remember this. So cameras, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
This idea here is a great idea. You're solving a problem for someone. You're addressing a pain. Otherwise, why would somebody pay money for it? Okay? So great ideas come from meeting a need, and an unmet need that's either a problem for people or it's causing them some sort of discomfort. Now, that discomfort might mean, these shoes are killing me, I don't like the color, right? It might be a self-esteem thing, or it could be a very real physical suffering type of need. Let's look at some examples of products that are meeting an unmet need. The lights at the back. I'm just going to dim them a little bit. So what problem is this solving?
Cup holder.
Okay, great place, great place. Right. Okay, this one here. So, what's the problem this is solving? Simply put. Okay, it is a cup holder, but what's the problem though?
If you just put it, then you can split in your laptop or your desktop, and then all your papers.
Okay.
Or maybe in the car as well.
Okay,
It's
so
very useful for the car.
all right, so
It's very functional.
great. It's addressing the problem of spilling, right? We'll put it on the side. It's got the little edge. It's not going to go over. At the back, there I did. All right, it's also addressing the space. I'm not sure about you, but my desk looks like something exploded on it, right? So it's addressing a couple of needs. You also mentioned it could be something functional for the car. Interestingly enough, do you know who was the first company to put a cup holder in a car?
America?
It was Toyota. Toyota, interestingly enough, was the first person to do it. And kind of tying into the idea of market research that entrepreneurs, if you have an idea you want to improve, they did something very easy. They just went out and watched people drive around. And they noticed people always the cup between the knees and the, the thing and the driving like that, right? Hey, we put a cup holder in here.
No, we use no
Well, you can see unmet need here.
Yeah.
For the children.
All right, great. So the kids, they can't reach. We thought a little bit of plastic and all that, and then they can wash their hands.
It's not in the market here.
Is it? Oh, it's not in the market here. I've never seen the market anywhere.
Maybe we can import it to Starbucks.
There you go. Unmet need, right? There you go. Write that down. Vinod, any luck with the lights?
Is this filter?
This is the filter. Yeah.
No access to
Filter store.
It is filtered. So if you can see, I've actually seen these before. Access to clean water, I think #1 killer of children infant mortality in the world is the idea of not having access to clean water. And very much, we build a water filtration plant, we have something big and expensive, but if you're out in a remote area, right? So again, seeing an unmet need, seeing an idea of a portable water carrier instead. Very, very interesting. Okay. Yeah, this always gets a laugh,
Very
right?
useful.
Very useful.
Extremely useful.
Okay, the selfie stick. How would you actually define the need here? It's interesting when we talk about the pain, because I've been a lot of places this summer where these were banned. You're not allowed. I thought, well, why? Right? People bang into each other, I guess. But obviously, meeting an unmet need.
Sorry, is this?
It helps you take a picture of yourself.
Yeah.
Is this a
For
need?
some people, yeah.
I can explain.
You're out
This
tour
one.
as a tourist.
If you are going on a trip, probably with your family, you cannot ask all the people around you all the time. Please give me take a photo for me or something like that. Probably you are jeopardizing your phone to get stolen.
Yes, quite possibly. Yeah, I always think about that when I ask people to take my picture. I look, where can they run to? I'm not wearing comfortable shoes. Yes. But also, the need doesn't have to be life and death sort of need, right? It's the need of something I wish there was an easier way to do that. All right, I don't always like to stretch my arm out. I wish I could have a narration as I'm, well, I should do this when I'm teaching, actually. That would be interesting. Thank you. Good idea. Okay, so in that case, the need is it's a want, if we could say that. Yeah. I'm just going to check with Mr. Vinod something. So I want to make sure we can all see the screen first. So I'm sure you all know these companies here.
Yeah.
All right. So with your partner, for the 6 of them, can you identify what you think the need or the pain each of these is in fact addressing? And there could be more than one for each one. All right. So take about 3 to 5 minutes right now to discuss it. I'm going to go check on our lists. Need?
Starbucks. 15 years ago, I was working with Starbucks. They used to tell us that Starbucks is the second home. So it's a need when you want to go to a place to be fired from a house or wherever you go to your second home.
Okay. Did everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Can you say it again? Everyone hears?
I will fix it.
Okay. You said this idea of second home.
Yeah.
Right. It's a place to get away to. And it's interesting, and I'm glad you said that, because I've tried to explain this concept, not with those exact words, to people before, but I've talked about Starbucks not in terms of the coffee, but in terms of the aesthetics. It's comfortable, the chairs, the colors are soothing, right? My students look at me like, what? Right? It's that place to go and relax. Great. I'm going to go there first, and then I'll come here. Yep. Okay.
Solutions for furniture in another space or small flats.
Great. Yes, they build furniture and especially storage space, right, for smaller. Good.
So, I was going to talk about it. That's one.
Okay.
I told you, for example, they solved the problem of the large headphones in the past. They invented the iPod.
Okay. Yes.
And then they came up with the smartphones.
Great.
So they eased the communication between people.
Excellent. And if anyone has another point for Apple, I mean, for a lot of them, there's like
Market
Apple's
leaders.
probably 10, 11 you could talk about. I'll go here, then I'll come here, and then here.
Air Arabia or any airways agencies, it's a need of traveling distance.
Make it short. Short.
Make it short, yeah. Traveling.
Okay, so at airlines, or we can say airplanes, of course, that solved the problem of yes. Can I push back a little bit? Air Arabia compared to, say, Emirates or Etihad.
Budget airline.
Budget airline.
Okay, so there's this factor, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even IKEA, it's cheaper because you assemble it and there is no labor additional
Involved.
cost for labor.
Okay, so again, this idea of the paying of the cost of furniture and things like that, great. You know what else I like to say about IKEA? Sounds funny. Okay, you say it.
It's the store that you find everything you need for your home, so that you don't need to go anywhere else.
That actually caused me more problems. I go in to spend $10 or 10
Yeah,
dirhams,
but-
I come out spending 1,000, right?
No, but it's reasonable.
Okay, I was gonna say IKEA for modern man makes you feel like a man because you're in there making things and fixing it. My wife is always like, my handyman, whenever I buy something from there. I'm just saying. Okay, great. I heard someone at the back say about Air Arabia, it's not just the cheaper airline, but it also, it's low cost definitely. Okay, so it's meeting that pain, but someone mentioned, if you look at all the,
Destinations?
yeah,
Oh.
right? There's so many places that they fly to that an Emirates or an Air Canada would never go to, right? Because they operate from a lot of smaller hubs. Great. Yes.
Amazon, we already used to buy products, used products, instead of having it like a box. Can I have it somewhere else? $100 here you can sell it or buy it $20.
Right.
And use it. So there is a lot of opportunities to buy used products. there on
Excellent.
Amazon.
Excellent.
And it offers a range of products, so you can find anything and it's convenient because it's from one place.
Okay, so yeah, the pain there, as you said, the reselling market, the pain if you can find your options, and also you can see, so Amazon, it wasn't about the product, it was about the channel, right? They were capitalizing what was making them different. We look at USP. USP is not USB in the side of your computer. Unique selling proposition. So very often, people think, how do I make my product different? It's not the product, but it's in fact the delivery channel. Right, so they took advantage of that. Oh, we've run out.
The body shop it's a nice place where you can find beauty stuff and then home fragrances, gift sets. So if you are looking for a gift, it's a nice place with reasonable prices.
Okay.
It's-
So is Carrefour, right? So what is?
It's promoted as animal cruelty-free product, so less chemicals, and that encourages women to buy more, I guess. And it's cheaper.
Okay, I didn't know.
Relatively cheaper.
Is that how you encourage women to buy more?
Well.
So now you're correct. Can you describe that in terms of a pain? So the Body Shop, what pain are they solving?
Allergies? I don't know.
Allergies was a big part. Yeah. There's something else. Think of an emotion that you feel.
Yeah, the woman would like to feel nice and smell nice and
Okay, go back to feel. What emotion do we feel like? I feel like Christmas time when I.
Turkey.
Satisfaction?
Guilt? Guilt, right? How about guilt? You feel, you want to look nice, you want to put on a little bit of lip balm or something, but you don't want the guilt of knowing this was tested on and this was sprayed into an animal's eye, right? Or something like that. So very much, it wasn't, she's like, Anita Roddick didn't go, right, now I'm going to play on this guilt, right? But, as you said, they market themselves as cruelty-free cosmetics. Any questions? Any you're not sure about? All right, I think we've hit everyone there. Great. Starbucks, as we talked about the second home idea, the other thing about Starbucks, the founder of Starbucks, his name is? The founder of Starbucks, his name is Harry, Harvey, Steve?
Muhammad.
Schultz. Schultz. Steve Schultz, is it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Steve
Howard Schultz.
Howard Schultz. There we go. Thank you. Do you know how he brought coffee to America?
Seattle. Of course, from Seattle.
Yeah. He basically had one of those eureka moments. He was in Italy, and he was in a little espresso, or I don't drink coffee, so I think I'm using the right word, espresso bar, those little coffee, right? And he was fascinated. Everyone came in, quick coffee, went out. The process, the experience, but also the taste. And he basically said, look, in the 70s in America, coffee was awful. He said it was absolutely awful. So there we go, unmet need, the type of coffee, the product, unmet need, the experience, okay? Unmet need, different way of delivering all that. So unmet needs can be existing ideas. I'm just keep throwing out these little things because, of course, I've told you, you've all got to come up with a business plan, right? Here's where you see an existing That's a big one. Good. This whole idea of experiential dining, right? Taking part in the actual experience, becoming a new thing. Well, it's actually not a new concept. It's something people are thinking and talking about more. Great. Other comments?
I think they applied the Subway restaurant idea on the sushi.
I'm sure, yes, exactly. Great point. I think they did. They what you just said, right? Anyone else think about that? Hey, this is what Subway does, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is an important point because, again, as we keep thinking, oh, what am I going to do my business plan on, right? Unmet needs, ideas, gaps, right, come from things that don't exist at all, things that don't exist in certain geographical locations, and when you look at something happening in one sector of the market and saying, hey, could we apply this to something else? Could we take that concept and apply it here, this idea of customization, as you do, in fact, with Subway? Yes, question?
Using fresh ingredients, not frozen or canned.
Yes.
That's fresh people eat healthier.
Great, and we all know about people wanting to eat healthier. That's another big thing. Anyone here ever do that detox thing? My wife drinks a glass of vinegar every morning. It's the most bizarre thing. Okay, it smells like somebody killed the cat. But anyway, all right. So I think it's a pretty good example. If you want to go and watch this on Shark Tank, one thing you'll find interesting is they talk about. Actually, they talk about in the beginning. They grew up in the restaurant business, right? Did you hear them mention that?
Yeah.
So they know the restaurant business. Great advantage of learning from someone else's money. In fact, their parents. So if you've never watched any of these Shark Tank videos, go on YouTube, just type in Shark Tank, and you'll see lots of examples of entrepreneurs pitching to get money, to get investments. It can become addictive, actually. And as part of your entrepreneurial experience, I highly recommend it. I'm guessing, well, I could say just click on the link in your PowerPoint slide if you want to see what happens, but yeah, I'll just say that. They are successful in their bid. Okay. Now, there's another one, which is quite different altogether. Anyone familiar with TED videos?
Yeah.
TED Doc? Okay, good.
Please close your eyes and open your hands. Now imagine what you could place in your hands. An apple, maybe your wallet. Now open your eyes. What about a life? What you see here is a premature baby. He looks like he's resting peacefully, but in fact he's struggling to stay alive because he can't regulate his own body temperature. This baby is so tiny he doesn't have enough fat on his body to stay warm. Sadly, 20 million babies like this are born every year around the world. 4 million of these babies die annually. But the bigger problem is that the ones who do survive grow up with severe long-term health problems. The reason is because in the first month of a baby's life, its only job is to grow. If it's battling hypothermia, its organs can't develop normally, resulting in a range of health problems from diabetes to heart disease to low IQ. Imagine, many of these problems could be prevented if these babies were just kept warm. That is the primary function of an incubator. But traditional incubators require electricity and cost up to $20,000, so you're not going to find them in rural areas of developing countries. As a result, parents resort to local solutions like tying hot water bottles around their babies' bodies or placing them under light bulbs like the ones you see here, methods that are both ineffective and unsafe. I've seen this firsthand over and over again. On one of my first trips to India, I met this young woman, Savita, who had just given birth to a tiny premature baby, Rani. She took her baby to the nearest village clinic, and the doctor advised her to take Rani to a city hospital so she could be placed in an incubator. But that hospital was over 4 hours away, and Savita didn't have the means to get there. So her baby died. Inspired by this story and dozens of other similar stories like this, my team and I realized what was needed was a local solution, something that could work without electricity, that was simple enough for a mother or a midwife to use, given that the majority of births still take place in the home. We needed something that was portable, something that could be sterilized and reused across multiple babies, and something ultra low cost compared to the $20,000 that an incubator in the US costs. So this is what we came up with. What you see here looks nothing like an incubator. It looks like a small sleeping bag for a baby. You can open it up completely. It's waterproof. There's no seams inside, so you can sterilize it very easily. But the magic is in this pouch of wax. This is a phase change material. It's a wax-like substance with a melting point of human body temperature, 37 degrees Celsius. You can melt this simply using hot water, and then when it melts, it's able to maintain one constant temperature for 4 to 6 hours at a time, after which you simply reheat the pouch. So you then place it into this little pocket back here, and it creates a warm microenvironment for the baby. Looks simple, but we've reiterated this dozens of times by going into the field to talk to doctors, moms, and clinicians to ensure that this really meets the needs of the local communities. We plan to launch this product in India in 2010, and the target price point will be $25, less than 0.1% of the cost of a traditional incubator. Over the next 5 years, we hope to save the lives of almost 1 million babies, but the longer-term social impact is a reduction in population growth. This seems counterintuitive, but it turns out that as infant mortality is reduced, population sizes also decrease because parents don't need to anticipate that their babies are going to die. We hope that the Embrace Infant Warmer and other simple innovations like this represent a new trend for the future of technology. Simple, localized, affordable solutions that have the potential to make huge social impact. In designing this, we followed a few basic principles. We really try to understand the end user, in this case, people like Savita. We try to understand the root of the problem rather than being biased by what already exists. And then we thought of the most simple solution we could to address this problem. In doing this, I believe we can truly bring technology to the masses, and we can save millions of lives through the simple warmth of an embrace.
Wow. Somebody say wow?
Wow.
Very cool, eh?
Yeah.
Touching my heart.
Well, I tell you, the first time I showed this video to my students, when I turned the lights off, it was an all-women's class. They were all crying. I said, oh, I don't do that. But as I've explained to them sometimes, I said, you find it emotional, but once you become a parent, the emotional connection when you see something like that becomes, in fact, even greater. So comments then about this idea of meeting an unmet need.
Yeah.
I can't talk. I can't talk.
Take the question again.
So what was the unmet need here? They were
Save the lives of babies.
okay.
Need of warmth for babies, newborn.
Say again.
Need of warmth for newborn.
Okay, so the problem is, right, that newborns are dying because
And also because of poverty of these babies, they are in very far villages. They cannot reach on time on the big hospitals.
Cost.
right. So if we're actually defining, sort of pushing down to what exactly is the problem is one of cost and in fact accessibility. So there's the problem of how expensive incubators are and the problem of accessibility. So a pretty neat idea. Now if you're interested, you go back and you search for this idea again. There's a very interesting backstory where they talk about all the iterations they go through. And it's a great example of, they were doing this, I think, out of Stanford University as a class project. The teacher had challenged them, said, here's the problem, what can we do about it? And you get to see the different pilots they go through, the different iterations. You see the market research concept of going out and meeting with people and what would work and what doesn't work. It's actually quite fascinating. And it actually comes back to something else about being an entrepreneur, the chance to change the world. Because as you can imagine, things like the Bill Gates Foundation, $20 for this, they're buying them by the thousands. So quite impressive. Any other comments? Okay. Put these all up here. Alrighty. So,
Just one point. Usually, we have never stayed that long
Oh,
with
okay.
anyone, and that shows how we're interested and we're happy being focusing.
are you enjoying? Great.
What it seems, as I can see in their faces, they're still, they didn't take their breakfast, so at least we can just have the minutes to have the breakfast.
Okay, great. I've got an idea. We can do it cheaper. If we can do it cheaper, then we'll sell more than the other person. Yes, there are advantages to that. It particularly works where price is the main decider. Price is the main reason why people buy or they don't buy, especially if it's an identical product. You can buy the Sony DVD player from Walmart. You know Walmart? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Or from Carrefour. You're going to go to whichever one is cheaper, right? If it's the exact same thing. You understand the concept, economies of scale?
Yeah.
Okay, where you can sell more of it, it'll be cheaper to produce. That makes sense of cost. Cost alone can be tricky because if you're doing it, you start off your business just by selling something cheaper, and the bigger players, the other players say, well, we can do that too, and we're going to crush you. In fact, we're going to go even cheaper than you, especially when they have bigger economies of scale. So selling things at a lower price can be an advantage, but it can also be a tricky one to rely on only cost. Okay, so the feature differentiation. There's some things that you offer differently than other people are not doing right now. And of course, the best example we could probably think about is a restaurant. There's no shortage of restaurants in the world. There's no shortage of restaurants in Kuwait.
Especially in Kuwait.
Okay.
Especially in Kuwait.
And yet they keep building more restaurants, right? And they keep building more restaurants. But what can you offer in terms of features that others don't? And like I said, you could both be operating shawarma stalls. The price might be identically the same. But if your feature is that you'll actually deliver to people, well, that's a differentiator. Let me see if I can get this word right. That's a differentiator. Ah, not bad for a Friday morning. Okay? You're doing something that they're not. You're showing how you're different. I remember in my hometown, when I was a boy, there were 2 pharmacies. And my father, and everyone else's father in town, worked for a nuclear power station. And like we talked about, when you're working for a company, they had great health insurance. All the drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, were free. And what would happen is you'd pay for them first, and then you'd put the receipt in, you get the money back. Well, a new guy came to town and said, listen, no. You come, I'll give you for free, I'll file the claim for you. Oh, that's pretty good. Guess where everyone started going? Because they didn't have to put the money in first and then submit the receipt for later on, right? An unmet need, a differentiator, a pain. This last bullet point here is interesting. Build basis for differentiation on a core competency. In other words, it has to be something important or different. You can't just say, well, my restaurant, we use the color blue in our advertising. You might not win too much business just because you have the color blue. Unless, I don't know, you're Everton, soccer fan and someone else is, likes the color red. Maybe. That would probably work in Liverpool. Okay. Ooh, yeah, didn't go too far. Yeah, this is an interesting one that I'd like you to probably think about the most. This idea of focus. And you understand the word niche? When we talk about a niche? And that's where you identify a smaller aspect of the bigger market. And there's probably no greater example, I mean greater, like bigger, example of this than dating websites. All right. When I say, have you ever seen these or heard of these? I was watching a program on, and of course they all started out with like Match.com. I think was one of the first ones, or LavaLife.com was one of the first ones in Canada. And just where you can, I guess, you put in your information, so you find a match, and that's how it works. What became fascinating about the dating websites is the number of niches that actually sprang up. and there was one for, there was one for countrymusiclovers.com, which I like country music. Not that I've seen the website, but I like country music. A lot of them are religious based, right? You've probably seen them. MuslimMatrimony.com is one that I've seen. They go on and on. Like there's dozens. I don't know why I can't think of them right now. There was actually an article 3 days ago in the news, somewhat controversial. Somebody has started one in America called whitepeoplemeet.com, right? And as you can imagine, everyone's kind of going, right? I don't know how I feel about that, right? Makes me feel a little weird, makes me feel uncomfortable. And the owner said, I'm not a racist. I dated a black woman one time. And everyone kind of went, okay. But the point being, right, that it is an example of someone taking a larger need, pain, people can't find partners that have a common interest, focusing on a further niche. So I guess if anyone in here wants to, Q8MBAstudents.com. I don't know, just throwing an idea. All right. Other example, Apple Computer. Now we all know Apple to be the giant mega computer company right now, but back in 2000, when I was doing my MBA, I remember walking into a computer store and there were Apple computers for sale. Of course, at the time, everyone was using
PCs.
Yeah, PCs, right? Anything running Windows or Office. And I remember saying to the guy, I said, who's buying these computers? Who is buying Apple computers anymore? He said, designers. Designers absolutely love. Anyone doing anything with graphics or anything like that. And then he also looked at me and said, and cool people. And I was like, oh. Okay, so again, that ties into that idea as well. The focus as well, if you're thinking about something we've also mentioned, you could be focusing on a geographical area where that need hasn't been met before. It could be the exact same business. It could be you go to an existing business and you say, hey, Spinneys, right? We don't have any Spinneys grocery stores in Russia right now. Maybe they do. I don't know. I've never been to Russia. You know, I'd like to bring them to Russia for you. Okay, so focusing on a niche there. And if you think about it, that's actually what Starbucks did. Howard, thank you, Schultz, when he went to Italy and he tried the espresso for the first time, he said, okay, I'm not going to reinvent coffee, but I am going to bring espresso coffee to a market where it's not being met right now. So for those of you who are really struggling to come up with like a new idea, it doesn't have to be a new idea. It could be a new focus with that idea. Okay. All right. So you've had something to eat. Should have a little bit of energy. Here's what I'd like to do now. If I can get you to work in groups of 4 for about the next 20 minutes, I want you to start brainstorming on ideas. Eventually, you know, I don't want to leave it until February 3rd, the night before your assignment's due. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay? Why don't we just take a preliminary step right now, in groups of 4, 3, whatever, just not on your own, all right? Start tossing out some ideas that you might have. You might have come to today's class with a few things percolating around. Don't be afraid to share. Okay? It may be something that you don't want to do yourself, but hey, do you ever think about this? Do you think about that? All right? Let's get the creative juices going. Okay? Giving you this chance. And you might want to start with this question here. What problems or unmet needs do you see? All right? That's one approach that you can take. Approach number 2, we've already had that idea of interest or passion come up. You know, something that I'm interested in, something that I'm passionate about. Well, I'm passionate about teaching and learning, so I'm going to start a training company, right? Nice little fit there. You might be passionate about, somebody give me a phrase, anyone?
Design.
Design, you might be passionate about design. So you think, okay, I'd like to start my own design company. Now, I'm not sure how I'd make it a niche yet. I'm not sure what the unmet need is. All right, if you are, that's great. Think about it this way. What would be the worst design company ever? All right? And then you brainstorm all the things that would make the worst design company ever. Don't open that business. Okay? What you then do and say, okay, if we say the worst design company would be these 10 things, then the best design company would obviously be the opposite. Right? And you think, okay, well, how do I do that? All right? So remember way back around 9:45 I said today is going to be a little different? This is things getting different here. You're not going to listen to me for the next 20 minutes. You're going to get into groups, as I suggested, and start to just let the ideas flow. All right? Not on the test, not on the exam, just time to share ideas. Get completely stuck, call me over, help you out. Oh, sorry. If you get completely stuck, you can always go here to this web link. Okay? Entrepreneur.com, business ideas. By industry sector, they actually list a bunch of ideas as well. But don't go here until you've done the first bit first. 11, what do we say until about 11:15, 11:20?